show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
So we're going to talk a little bit about mineral rights. That's what Christopher wants to talk about and he wants to learn about today. Mineral rights, they're in most states. It's really only important in oil states like Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota. That's usually where you hear about it a lot. There's mineral rights that come up in like West Virginia that are pretty crazy. But essentially, if you're in Texas, you can wholesale property and keep the mineral rights as long as you're double closing. So double closing gives you the opportunity to keep mineral rights. So Anthony's done this in the past, and we've done this in the past with properties, is that we'll get a property contract with mineral rights being conveyed to us, and then we'll convey it without to our buyer. And that's how we'll keep mineral rights. It's a cool little strategy to just keep potential oil in the future without really doing a regular transaction. Crazy stories that come out with mineral rights is I think like West Virginia is like a big coal area in the mountains. The state took like rights to all the coal in the mountains and in the whole pretty much state of West Virginia just so they can control that. So if you're doing like deals in West Virginia, all the mineral rights are already owned by the state. And that's just, it's been like that for like 150 years or something like that. It's crazy. So that's, yeah, corruption for sure. And that's something like West Virginia did back in mid probably late 1800s, midnight 1800s. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that come with mineral rights, but it's just we come across properties with oil producing wells in them, cash flow to a few $100s a month. Rockefeller's expending the coal around that time. I don't know. I haven't done much research into it. I read a story about it. I'm like, that's crazy about the coal in West Virginia. But essentially is that a drill oil company will come onto your land and say, hey, if we find oil, we'll give you essentially cash flow, and they'll drill the oil for you and produce the oil for you, but they'll just pay out a monthly cash flow for producing oil, or depending on how many barrels of oil it produces, little pumps they can get on it. So it's going to vary pretty much property by property. Some properties may not have oil rights, some property it may, who knows. It's one of those things where like you really don't know there's potential on the property unless it's already producing something. And usually if it's already producing, they already have what it's paying out at that time. So usually if somebody has oil producing property, they're going to let you know that they have it, and it's going to convey with the rights or without the rights. So that's pretty much just the short answer for mineral rights in general. Try and catch it if you can when you're contracting properties, and don't let it go whenever you're selling it. So there's a quick little strategy to kind of get mineral rights for free. Government corruption for sure, as a whole, can be a possibility. That's mineral rights in a nutshell. There's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, I can barely scratch the surface on it because we've only come across this a couple of times. I'm sure there's probably a bunch of oil people that know a lot more than I do. It's just, I know the basics. That's about it. You can get by. But it's all conveyed in the deed. So if you want to see who owns the mineral rights, it's going to be in the deed of that property. So if you find a deed or do a soft pull of the certain properties and want to see who owns the mineral rights, it's going to be in the deed. It's always recorded with the deed. So mineral rights and the deed of ownership would be all conveyed in the deed. Sometimes the same person, sometimes it's not. Good question though about mineral rights. What type of property you trying to get, Christopher?
Okay, so this one is this is like right next door for the extra 420 acres that is turned into 120 acres.
Okay.
So right now, this particular 50 acres, it's good for commercial development. So it's near like a major highway. It's in the country still. We recently spoke to the mayor. So basically, our new developer is looking to actually investigate more and see what details they can do to actually build around the area. But we're not sure if that actual area has mineral rights, but I'm pretty sure she has it because it's a former farm. So it's still producing right at this moment, but she's looking to sell off her property because she's in her 70s right now. So she's looking to sell all that stuff so she can retire peacefully and not have to have that stuff in the back of her mind all the time because I know that she has it.
Gotcha. Okay. This is the one you sent to Anthony?
Yeah, that one too. And I think Anthony is working one deal in Beasley, which is 95 acres. We're supposed to solve that, but I'm not sure when that's going to be getting attacked, but it should be within a week or two or something when things come back online. And then we have another 20 acres out in Dayton, which is way out there, looking to make something of that. Yeah, that's about it. But
how are you texting? How are you marketing right now, Christopher?
Just mostly cold calling, really, and just buying lists from this website called ClearSkip. They're out of Florida as well. Okay. And when you search up those lists, they're very good. But the thing is, like, it's much more better to search up on, like, such as a website, such as that oil and gas website. I forgot what it was. I think it's called.
Okay.
Or see something like that in the Railroad Commission, Texas.gov. Then another one, go for Landglide. That one's good too, but it's very tedious when you integrate information to a spreadsheet. That takes longer too. But it takes work, you know. You gotta do the boring work first to get something.
Yeah, that's right. You got your first deal recently, right?
Oh, not yet. It's in process right now. We're both in due diligence right now. So we have one that was signed under for an option contract, which is 20.5 acres.
Okay, good.
So we have like 30 days to market that. We'll see where we go.
Is it in Texas?
Yes, in Texas.
Okay. We're launching a new thing to dispo properties in Texas. So if you have it for okay price, you can see if we can dispo it for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I'll be looking for some more too because I'll be moving soon. So even visit abroad.
Good. Yeah, there's definitely more opportunity everywhere. I don't think your backyard is the only place you can play. Plenty of opportunity everywhere for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Like I said, this kind of open call, we allow to ask any questions. We can go in any direction.
Okay, for everyone, I think like, could you talk more about when it comes to like speaking with sellers, right? And you're looking to eventually like negotiate a meeting because that's how I got to this seller that's in East Bernard and Kendleton. I was like, in my mind, I was like, for me, what do you think is very important when you're negotiating with a seller and to get a meeting? Because most times they might like kind of give you an excuse of they're trying to sell you and close you on not meeting when it's very important to meet because in person is very important. So could you talk more about that?
So one thing I always try and get out before I meet, because I've done this so many times prior, is I always try to meet people whenever I can. Just because this is like when I first started, I was trying to meet people just to talk to sellers eventually. But when it comes down to it, you need to talk to motivated sellers. So you need to differentiate before you meet them that they're even worth talking to. So generally, when we're talking to sellers, if they're close by or an opportunity to meet, we're usually going to make sure they're what price point they want, and it feels it's even worth our time to meet. Because especially in Texas, a lot of people are like, oh, it's an hour away. Well, you might be there an hour back, 3-4 hours. You could have done other things versus drive and technically waste time for that property. And yes, it may produce in the long run, but you'd rather be doing revenue generating activities. So always understand that what number they want before you even go out there, or what their motivations are before you go out there, because it's going to be, I've done it. You're going to waste a lot of time talking to a lot of people that aren't just motivated. They're not motivated. So number one was make sure they're motivated. Number two is make sure that they get a price point. And number three, make sure everybody that you're going to meet is going to be there at that same time, because there's no point of going out there to talk to somebody who's not the decision maker. So make sure all of the decision makers or potential decision makers of this property are going to be there, whether it's a husband and wife, brother, sister, or have that conversation all at once. So we're always trying to coordinate those people to be together at the same time and then move on to that conversation as far as what they're looking to get for the property, how much they, what's the timeline they want to sell. You can ask if there's liens, any of the motivation, death in the family, probates, all that good stuff. You're going to find out on that in-person conversation. So it's understanding that not everybody's motivated, and we're only looking for motivated sellers. Is the short answer.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So understand where your time is best utilized and where it should be used. Iris asks, when you come across some land for sale and get the number they want, how do you come up with a good number to offer? Do you give them a number while you have them on the phone, or ask to call them back with your offer? So that's okay. So I think yes, like two different questions there. So if you're calling to people and they say make me an offer, generally you're always trying to get a number out of them. Well, how much do you give it to me? Well, I don't even know what to offer, because it could be, tell me a little bit more about the property, trying to find out more about the property, and I always try to squeeze them to give up a number first. There's a strategy in sales, like whoever gives up the first number loses. Because if you are potential trying to get the number, if you provide the number offer, that they're just going to shop your offer around. So usually we try not to give an offer till they're ready to sign paperwork, or till we're giving paperwork in general. So if I provide an offer, will you sign it? We always try and get confirmation before they're going to sign. Whoever gives the offer first usually loses. So don't give your offer out without getting a signed, or not a signed agreement, but a verbal agreement that they're going to sign the paperwork.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that, because like it's very important that you sell them. Don't let them sell you, because all they're trying to give you is a bullshit excuse. They're just trying to do that just to shoo you away. Yeah. So you have to get out of them, but get to know them first, though, which is very important.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yep. Irish also asked, I don't have to meet the seller if I don't have to. Do you use DocuSign for signing paperwork? 100%. E-signatures, notaries, we use a lot of those virtual, either people as a virtual notary or DocuSign. And a lot of times the contract can be overwhelming. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll get on the phone with the seller. And if we send them, hey, I'm going to send you this DocuSign, when will it be in front of the computer to review it? Oh, 6 p.m. Okay, I'm going to call you at 6 p.m. I'm going to send you the contract. And you can, if you have any questions, you can ask me while we're reviewing the contract. Because one thing you really want to understand is make sure they understand what they're signing and they don't have any questions about what they're signing and what it means. Because a lot of contracts, even wholesale contracts, don't make sense. So you as a wholesaler or potential buyer need to understand your contract in its basic form to explain it to a seller, because there might be wordings that they may not understand. So I always tell people to understand your contract and what's in your contract that you're sending them to sign, and then kind of convey it all while they're overlooking it on the phone in front of you or with them virtually, so they understand what's going on. Because a notary ain't gonna know what your paperwork means. Notaries, they do a lot of different types of paperwork, so they're not gonna understand seller's paperwork. So you always want to be on the phone with the notary whenever they arrive to kind of go over the paperwork to make sure they have any questions. You're there to answer them efficiently. So they just sign and keep it going. Good question, Iris. But yeah, sale. When it comes back to sales, it's just make sure you get a understanding the seller that you are. If I send a contract for this price, would you sign it? And I'll answer all your questions there whenever the contract's presented. And it's just overcoming objections when they look at it. Is there a good tool to use to get a good aerial view of the land throughout the U.S.? Is there a way to find property owners with 10 acres of land without having sift through tax records? So I use a lot of Google Maps, Google Street View, Google satellite view. You can use that with a combination of sometimes Zillow. If you zoom in on properties, it might have the property lines in there, like grayed out between the neighbor's property. So you can sometimes see property lines on Zillow. We use a lot of Google, and I use it whenever I used to do this. I would use like Google and the tax assessor's site, so they can kind of put it next to each other. Like, hey, house is right here on the neighbor's property. This is the Google where the house is from the satellite view, and kind of understand where the property is. And then I'll do like a Google Street View if there's one available, to kind of show what it looks like if they were to drive by it. But sometimes they'll drive by the property and like, oh, this is what I saw on Google. 10 acres or land without having tax records. Frank might know this one. I just hopped on. Frank, is there a way to search parcel sizes in like MapRight or ListSource or something?
Can you enable screen share?
Yeah, I can. I guess he's going to show us now. So there's a lot of resources out there for pulling lists and data. It's just finding one that works for you. Like if you're pulling certain sizes, you might want to use MapRight. Here you go.
Okay, so we'll pull Texas. Texas and Florida being states that I bought and paid for, and you can see that a little green circles where I've searched. But you can also, I believe we can focus down into parcel size. Parcel. Ooh, can't. I thought we could, which is why I jumped in. Line, shapes, feature set, ranching, oil and gas, urban. Ooh, good to know I can do urban. I wasn't aware of that. I thought we could do size on this. So address, latitude, longitude, abstracts, if you know that, parcel ID. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's got that option on this. There are other softwares, a lot of other data aggregator softwares, like, this is Commercial Empire Deal Flow, CE Flow by Tim Bratz, but it's based on the RealFlow platform, which is similar data. So I pulled storage, and on that, I can get down into parcel size, minimum parcel size, up to a maximum parcel size. So I imagine the really deal flow, or whatever it's called, really flow, has that feature. And I would wager most of the other data aggregators that you can pull data from also have that feature. I honestly thought MapRight had a controlled size. So when you pull the data, now here, I know I can do this. Let me change what I'm sharing. Cancel this share. Let me share let me find a Finder window that's got the right files, because the data you pull down, you can control that. Sorry if I was putting a bed together 2 minutes ago for my 14-year-old. And
you're good, man. I didn't know the answer, because like I said, we don't, right now we're doing a lot of PPC and we're doing a lot of stuff like this. So I've never actually pulled this from other sources. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's just a matter of where you can get to the data. Give me one moment. Go ahead and yammer on if you want to, and I'll get to the info, and then I'll share the screen on that folder. Or actually, I need to open up an Excel file, and I will share the Excel file. So,
okay. So it's gonna vary by data provider. I'm sure ListSource, which is that's the last provider I actually used outside of my own back then. I think they could do it too, but it's just gonna vary by provider in general of who can actually pull it or not by certain sizes. I know I can't. It's just all data in certain areas. And the reason why we do that is just that we sell it by the bulk. We sell it by bulk, and if people pull a certain area, we're just not going to be able to provide enough leads that even makes sense for them to pull. So we usually try and do larger list orders. So we're just going to pull whole orders of areas versus not necessarily by size for when it comes to land.
Okay, found what I was looking for. Okay, so this is an example of the sheet that you get from, here, let me shrink this down in size so it doesn't take up so much of your screen. Let me go back up. It comes in CSV format from them. but you can, first thing you want to do is change it to an Excel. So column M is the acreage. So sort smallest to largest.
You kind of have to pull all the data and then source it.
Correct. You put, so like, let me co-share two things. New share, hold shift. I want that also. So jumping over here real fast, you see one of these circles here in Texas. And yes, I realize the list I'm showing you right now is Florida, but basically when I draw a circle to search an area, I'll turn on, the reports, export Excel to it, so it says draw a radius. So I click and begin to draw my circle. So now once it's done that, I'm going to come down and on overlays, no, not overlays, feature palette. Map features, there we go. Pivot. I can go in and on this pivot and I'm losing my mind. Shapes. Here we go. Urban. Okay, I've been doing this on this. There we go. I can do my pivot. So I'm going to create a report first. So it's going to let me draw a radius. So when it turns red like that, it means you've gotten bigger, or that's outside of the state that I'm looking in. So, okay, there we go. So there's, okay, is greater than. Okay, so they have a size limit of 11 miles. Okay, that wasn't what I wanted to happen. So 11 square miles is the maximum when you're trying to draw a circle like this. So I'm taking, trying to do a piece of Dallas here, draw the radius. And it's, of course, glitching. And draw a line. Let me draw a radius. Okay, so there's my new circle. When it pops up requesting an email address, that means it fits the appropriate size. But this is where I'm also going to draw the little pivot. You put the mouse, the cursor right in the dead center. And damn, that thing clicked again. Okay, so I've got it over here. I still haven't saved it. So, okay, so I think I've overloaded my browser. But what I'll do is I'll start in the middle, I'll click and draw the green circle also. And it leaves that green circle, and I want it to match the yellow highlighted circle. Then put your email address in, generate CSV. So over here is the CSV that you get. And I converted it to an Excel file just because it's easier to have all of these sheets you see down below. A CSV file, if you try to save a CSV file with multiple sheets, it deletes everything because CSV can't handle multiple sheets. So first thing you'll always want to do is convert to an XLS. So after that, you see here how I've got size under the acreage column. So these, there's a bunch of them that are 10.1, and then we're down 12.6, 51.9. So we have different sizes. These are, smaller to larger is what I'd set. So you pick the size lot that you're looking for, and you go forward from there. So if you're looking for quarter acre lots, you just scroll the section of that lead list that you've downloaded now that are quarter acre lots or 10th acre lots or whatever the size it is that you're looking for. After all of that chaos, I hope that helped to answer the question. I apologize. Apparently I need to reboot my browser because it's crashing like crazy.
No, that's cool, man. I've never seen that part like that, so it's kind of cool.
So, but yeah, MapRight's great for that. But yeah, there's several other data aggregators that you can, that can just, becomes one of the sections that you can choose to share for. Good demo of that software. You're welcome, Iris. Happy to help. So yeah, MapRight's good. I don't use PropStream right now, but I'm fairly certain it's got that capability. I know DataStream does, and a few of the others.
There you go. Good question, Iris. Yeah. Different data sources, different information. All right. So great question. Who's got another question they need help with today? I got time for one or two more, depending on how difficult or easy the question is. You can put it in the chat too. I'm open to either one if you don't want to mute yourself. Does anyone use a title company in the Dallas, Texas area? Our title company is in San Antonio, but you can use any title company in the state of Texas. I don't remember the title company we use off the top of my head. I forget it. Yeah, so you can use. Go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say John would probably know some, and if you don't know anybody offhand, I was going to say ask in the actual group itself, where there's a lot more members active at the time.
Yeah, Anthony, we've been using the state of town company for years, but yeah, you need one title company per state, one good one, and just call it a day. Even if you're in another city, it doesn't really matter. They can still handle that closing for you. Yeah,
that was the other thing I was going to say. Find a company. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as they work that state. Yep. My title company's here in Jacksonville that I've worked every deal in the state of Florida, except for one that I'm doing with another one of the group members, Eloy Ochoa. He's got a company in Tampa that he's used for years. That'll be my second.
Yeah. So, and like I said, he's done deals all over Florida and uses the same title company in Jacksonville. So, and we've done deals all over Texas and he's the same person in San Antonio. So, it's always gonna find one good one and just run with it. And Christopher says patent law firm for Texas. So, plenty of options out there you could use for sure. So, don't overthink that part of it at any point.
But your kids sound like my kids.
Yeah, they're crazy. I had to start a few minutes late because my wife wasn't here. So my wife was here to help out with the kids.
And mine are going crazy because we've got a 6-week-old kitten for 2 weeks that my 14-year-old is fostering for community service hours. So it has them extra hyped up.
Nice, man. It's awesome to hear stuff like that. Kids,
where is everybody from tonight? In case I missed that, just wondering.
What'd you say, Frank?
I asked where everybody was from. I'm assuming Iris is in Texas, or at least trying to do business in Texas.
Oh, for me, I'm in Houston. About to move to Key Biscayne eventually.
Moving from Houston, Texas to Key Biscayne.
Miami.
Yep. Welcome home to Florida.
Oh yeah. Land of the hard assets.
Hell yeah.
Iris is from Dallas. Joseph is trucking, so he's probably somewhere.
He's here, there, and everywhere then.
Yeah, he's a little bit everywhere. I live in Southern California.
Yes, I am now in Massachusetts.
You're Massachusetts.
I'm going to Seattle, Washington.
Man, I hate driving in the Northeast. That's terrible.
Yeah, now the weather is very cool. Now it's 68.
Not bad. That's not bad.
That's a plus. Do you prefer nighttime or daytime driving?
Daytime, I drive for myself, so I drive during the daytime, and when I have to push it to probably 9 or 11, but next day I drive during the daytime.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Appreciate your work out there, man. Look forward to you getting off the road permanently, but I appreciate your work while you're out there. Y'all are the backbone.
Thank you.
Several uncles and relatives that did that for most of their lives. So.
Yeah. I got all my brothers and sisters in Florida. 2 sisters, 2 brothers in Miami, and that's where they live. But I'm the only one who left Miami and moved to Delaware and then Louisville, Kentucky. Now I'm in Texas. So I think Texas, I've been there's like almost 7 years. So everything is cool here, Texas. So probably stay there with my family. So that's why I moved to Willie State last year.
That's cool, man.
He froze. Drive safe out there, Joseph.
Yeah. That's trucking, man. It's a whole thing.
That it is.
Yeah.
Who wants to join me in a giant fundraise? I saw a portfolio of 21 storage facilities someone posted earlier today. They want $124 million.
Wow.
I'm willing to put the syndication together.
What's the minimum buy?
On that, I mean, we'd be looking at around $25 million capital raise. So Yeah, it'd probably be a chunk.
Yeah, even if you get 100 grand, you're still gonna need 250 people.
Yeah, but it's worth it. So probably 100, 150 to 200. But I mean, it looked like it was all Class A, Class B plus properties, and all fully stabilized. So I mean, it's not a super high cap rate, but it's, you know, that's a rock solid portfolio. You're basically buying a cash flow at that point. Yeah, that's a retirement right there. You make your purchase and you retire. Even as the GP side, you know, you make your purchase and you retire.
Was maintained over time and good to go.
That's crazy. That's a lot of property. 125 million. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why people sell for cash. I would be like owner financing if I was exiting at that point.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to owner finance 21 properties. So, because it's a portfolio that, you know, I'm sure they built that up over a period of time. You know,
Yeah.
It's probably 21 separate syndications that they pulled together, you know, via fund of funds or evergreen fund, where they kept raising more, you know, additional funds as they needed to put them into the portfolio. And then, you know, okay, now it's time to, you know, they're getting nervous. So they're taking their exit now. I think it's going to stay recession proof. You know, even if a recession hits, people are not going to want to get rid of their crap. That's one of the advantages of storage, why I started to look into it.
Yeah, self-storage. Self-storage is a cool niche, man. Hopefully we'll go down that direction sooner than later, but I think I like self-storage more than multifamily.
Iris, what do you mean, would I borrow the money I need to invest in that syndication? I would put very little of my own money into it, Iris. I would put together the marketing and the pitch deck and start finding people who wanted to put the money into it. And I would operate as the GP and take 20% of the prize, along with a couple of other people who I know are extremely experienced in the storage facility world. And they would be the primary GPs and sponsors. And we take the thing down and we split that 20%, you know, for doing the work. And everybody else is along for the ride on the investment. They'd probably earn between 6 to 8% per year on their money for the life of the loan, essentially. So, but yeah, we come up with the 20, maybe 25% at most, and we borrow the rest via commercial loan.
That's a crazy deal, man. That's some big money.
What's really freaky is just a few years ago, I couldn't have conceived of looking at something like that and actually requesting the info and sitting down and starting to run the underwriting on it, thinking, yes, I know the people who can help me take this down. And being, you know, thinking, you know, back then I would have thought that's egotistical to think you could do that. Now it's just honestly believing, yes, I can do this. And it terrifies the hell out of me, but I'm going for it nonetheless. And that's also this guy, I don't know, for my screen, he's in the upper left-hand corner. His name is Daniel. He's one of the co-founders of the Hive Mind. It's a result of this wackadoo starting this group up a year ago and pushing everybody to believe that they could do stuff that they didn't think they could do. So if you're new here, keep sticking around. It will expand your mindset.
There you go. Appreciate that, Frank. Appreciate that. It feels undeserved, but I appreciate it anyway.
Not undeserved in the slightest, buddy.
Oh, man. It's been a crazy journey, this Hive Mind thing. It's been a crazy, crazy little experience for everybody that's been around for a while. We appreciate everybody that contributes. And like I said, we wouldn't even do these calls if people didn't come out to these calls in general. So I appreciate everybody coming out and participating in some fashion. Whether you're here asking questions or you're here submitting questions in the checkbox, in the chat box, it helps out a lot just to carry the conversation, because everybody uses the same issues and problems. It's just no one wants to ask the question. So I appreciate everybody contributing. This is a good Thursday. I can't believe it's about to be the end of June. I commend everybody for being here in general, because it shows you're trying to do something better and learn to do better. But end of June, most people wanted to do something. 2022 has already wasted 6 months. by not doing anything. So there's a lot of time has passed and you weren't active and productive with it, and they haven't produced anything out from it. But at least here you're educating yourself and hopefully taking action at the same time to produce something out of the time that is given to you. This time,
we know people who sat here for months and did nothing and finally took action, and now they're on the podcast for doing 6 deals in a short period of time. So
that's it. That's it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy what happens, but don't take time for granted. You only get it. Always it's always waning. It's always you're always losing it. So don't waste your time doing stuff that doesn't make sense, and make sure you capitalize on it with all that you're doing. Make sure you're doing revenue generating activities. One of the things I suffered with when I first started was I thought I was busy, but I was busy doing the wrong things that weren't actually producing. So after I kind of realized that, I kind of focused on doing the right things with my time, and now it's able to do this stuff like this. So worrying about what your time is actually needs to be doing versus what you can be doing. Revenue generating activities is so important for everybody out there. Time management. The days just fly by these days. Can't believe it's Thursday again. I feel like it was a short week. But I appreciate everybody coming out. It's a serious business, like Iris says. It's a serious business for sure. So don't take it lightly. It takes a lot of work, and the year is halfway gone. So use this time wisely. One thing about real estate is this a long time to turn out deals. So like Frank, if you were to somehow raise the money, how long would it take you to raise the money? Like 30 to 60 days closing.
Probably. The terrified version. Oops. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay. The terrified version thinks 90 days to 6 months. Realistically, with the partners that I know, I would bring in immediately, which I would take this into Eden and Eden Jennings Smith's multifamily deal room, because I know there's also some players in there that are interested in storage. 30 days would be pushing it, honestly, between the people that I've done syndications with before. And I know the people in that group have done syndications and been part of, and who I would bring in as the key principals. Yeah. 30 days or less to pull that together if the numbers work. So, and the mentor that I've got, I learned from a lady called Stacy Rossetti. Well, she's not called, that's her name, but she runs a program called the Storage Nerds. Yeah, cool lady, real down to earth. She decided they sold their home up north, and they'd bought an RV, and they travel around the country now looking for storage and enjoying life while their daughter is young. But learn from her. She's got extremely aggressive criteria in underwriting. They're usually looking for extreme, value add situations. But they've bought a couple of A properties, and sitting down with a couple other people who have done this stuff. They're like, okay, if you're looking at an A property or a B property, here's where your numbers need to be percentages wise and cap rate wise. So if you can achieve this, with mortgage output and stuff, and costs, then this will work. So it's just knowing people who having good underwriting software and knowing what to do to underwrite it, and having people who give guidance for where those numbers need to be, just like the Hive Mind's doing for land on a regular basis. So when people are asking in the group, we just need to know where. If you're going to post in the group, my only comment, say where the land is. That way we have an idea of, because if you ask, what is this property worth? Well, I don't know. In Florida, in the middle of the state, it's worth $5 an acre. If it's on the ocean, it's worth $250,000 an acre, or for a quarter acre, or more. So same thing in Texas. If it's near oil or near one of the big places, it could be worth a fortune for a quarter of an acre. Or there's spots where you can get 100 acres for $100.
The desert is where you can get stuff for $100.
Yeah.
Or if you buy another.
I've had it offered to me in the far west Texas desert. In fact, when I pulled comps, stuff was coming up from New Mexico, and that was like one of the closest cities.
Las Cruces.
Yes.
Yeah, Las Cruces is right next to El Paso. It's like 45 minutes. Ugh. Texas is a big place, but there's definitely a lot of opportunity out there. So don't looking for some cheap land with undiscovered oil.
You and every oil company and wildcat are out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's plenty of people looking like that.
If you come across any, let me know. I'll invest with you, and I know I've got the exact people to introduce you to that'll happily wildcat it for you to find the oil.
That's cool. The real estate business is a cool business, and there's so many different avenues to take and so many different niches. Yeah, get those men.
You gotta set up shop and good to go once they find the oil.
Yep.
Build your house, you're good.
Yep.
Get you a gun too, so you go hunting.
Well, I think we wanted to hear good questions today. I think we covered a lot. Good questions, Christopher and Iris, and thanks for your help, Frank, as always. We do these calls every Monday and Thursday. I know we haven't had the last 2 Mondays covered, but we usually do every Monday and Thursday. I will be driving, so I probably would not run Monday's call, but Anthony or somebody else will run it in some map, and I will be on a road
very
trip.
well be able to run it myself. Just reach out to me that day. Where are you driving to?
I am going on a road trip this next week to Yellowstone, which is washed out because of a flood.
Yeah, you might want to reschedule that.
I wasn't going like directly to Yellowstone, but we were like planning to stop in Yellowstone on the way. But they closed down the park because of the flooding.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm praying for those people who live near there.
Yeah, I guess now we're going to Idaho, I guess is the thing.
Okay.
It's right next to Yellowstone. So
grab some potatoes while you're there.
Yeah. Fries are half off. But yeah.
Appreciate you doing this, Daniel.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody will cover it next Monday. Yeah. I think I'm off for the next week, so you might not see me here a little bit, but take some time.
Let me look at my calendar real fast, and I'll give you a commitment if I can.
Yeah, take some time to spend time with your family. We're coming out with some new products and services coming out soon. Hive Mind event in August, which is 2 months from now. We're excited about that. DeAndre is doing his own little real estate mastermind. We're going to cover that tomorrow on tomorrow's call. I think Anthony is. So keep out for a live out tomorrow.
Yes, I can do next Monday. Just send me an email to remind me.
Okay. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, we're going to take a few week breaks from releasing podcasts. So this might be the last episode for a couple weeks. So we're going to build up the episodes again to release every Monday to Friday. So this is probably going to replay on Friday, and we'll probably take a couple weeks off to build up episodes. But we'll always continue bringing out content and releasing stuff, and we'll be on the live. What time is the live tomorrow with DeAndre? Tomorrow it is 3 p.m. Central. We're doing a live with DeAndre. So check it out. And for all people on the podcast, it'll probably be like the next episode after this one. The live will be. So definitely check that out. We'll see you all next week. Enjoy your weekend. July 4th is coming up, so get some plans together, spend time with your family, and
blow your limbs off.
Yep. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the Skip Trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.onelistguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.